One of the fun things of ice is when you think you're done, sometimes you do some tests and realize not everything is working 100% to your liking. So I just rotated this around a bit. I'm just going to move this here in, hit play, and it's not working. And so that's weird, why isn't it working? And I'll move this around, and then as I move it around, suddenly the particles start. And you're like, that's weird. What's happening is here. It's something I've seen happen a few times before. I'm using some compounds I've used, and one of the compounds I'm using is this test inside null. Test inside null looks at the null position and sees if particles are inside that null. I'm using points on geometry, and the geometry has now been rotated. Previously the geometry wasn't rotated, so everything was working perfectly. So I need to change the test inside null so it actually looks not just on the null's position and the particle's global position, but the particle's local or the point local position as well. So I need to go in here and take into account anything that's being rotated or moved. And if I look inside this compound, it says modulate by null. If I open this one up, it's got a bunch of stuff in here. Most of it you don't have to worry about, but just look down and you'll see a point position. It's got get particle position, and then it's also getting in, if we start looking around here, there's lots of stuff going on, and we're looking to see where it gets the position. So we see the get particle position. That's really what we're looking at here, and goes in and a vector and inverts, and there's a bunch of things in here. We also want to take this particle position and multiply it by another vector as well, because right now it's multiplied by the null's position, and that's what it needs to do, but it's not taking into account the particle's global position. So we're just going to get data, and we're going to explore. Actually, we'll do a self, and explore under the self, and we're going to get the kinematic global transformation. Now we're just going to duplicate this multiplied by vector. Since there's one there, we don't need to get another one from the preset manager. We'll just grab this one in, bring the matrix in here, bring the vector in there, and we'll hook this back into the vector here. And we hit play, nothing happens yet. Move it in here and it's working. So that's pretty cool, but things seem to be working fairly well. Let me just test it in a few different positions, make sure that the particle works correctly from both ends. So we'll just quickly test it here, and hopefully everything will be good. We hit play, particles are missing there, that's very good. Just move this up to here, and particles are missing there. So as long as we know both ends are working, we know the whole thing is working correctly. We can set our log on fire. It's now working in kind of global position correctly. If I go back out here, there's a star next to this one. It tells me I've changed it. If you change something inside the compound, you probably want to go in and save it and change its name a bit. So we can go in here, go to compound properties, and give it a different name. I already created one earlier called modulate by null SRT, but you can change its name and then you can export it out again. Since I found I actually like modulate by null take into account the object's position, I've actually gone in, and if you look at this test inside null, I have a test inside null SRT, and if you look at the modulate by null, there's a modulate by null SRT, and I've exported both of those out so I can use those instead. So here's my test inside null. This is my new one that has what I just did inside it, and I can just hook this in there. Sometimes you find you want to change or improve or edit existing compounds. If you do that, make sure you just save your own version of it so you can go back to that one and reuse it. We just test this once more, check it's all working. It is working, so we've now fixed any problem we had inside, and we can later on start going in and cleaning up this, making these into compounds, giving comments wherever we need to, and then the final thing would be, of course, making it more portable so we can export and share this along other objects.